Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to.
Hot and trendy gist with Jesse and Lucci.
Okay, for our first news today, we'll be going over to Luchi to see what he has for us. Okay, Luchi, bring it on.
All right, and there's been some sad developments, and we always hope for the best. But it's with no pleasure that I bring you this news of a virus that is making the rounds around the world today, and I'm talking about the Hanta virus. Now, the European Center for Disease and Prevention Control have said that this virus can cause hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome, and it's a clinical syndrome characterized by fever, acute and injuries. It is notable disease in Europe for now, like because it's been investigated, and the first cases of those who have been infected are now under quarantine, and we just hope that they curtail the whole virus so that it doesn't spread like the COVID case we had not too long ago. Now, it says the outbreak of this antivirus on the cruise ship carrying passengers from across the world is a situation that authorities says they are taking incredibly serious. They have to take it serious, I tell you. Now, 3 passengers have died either on board or after traveling on the ship, which set sail from Argentina a month ago. 4 others have been medically evacuated from the ship for treatment. A huge operation is in place to trace people potentially exposed to the virus who have already taken flights home to numerous countries, including the UK, South Africa, the Netherlands, US of A, and Switzerland. And now we're talking about contact tracking, right? So we need to track those who have been exposed to this virus. So a huge operation is in place now to trace these people. And health experts stress that the risk to this general public is low. So it's no need for panicking, and going to panic buying and self isolating yourself for now if you've not had any contact with anybody. Okay. So your mind should be at peace. Now, this is not COVID, okay? It's not COVID. We need to make it very clear so people don't, like I said, go into panic mode. Now, in an update on Thursday, Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove from the World Health Organization stressed it was not the start of a pandemic, saying this is not COVID, like I said earlier on. It is not an influenza. It is spread very differently, right? Unlike diseases such as measles, which are highly contagious and spread easily, the under strain of the Hunter virus behind the outbreak is not infectious. So I think this sounds like a good news to me. And since because nothing can be compared to COVID, as long as I have lived on the surface of this world and planet Earth, I've not seen anything as worse as COVID. So now we've been told it's not like COVID. I just hope it remains so. Nothing changed about that status. Now, how is it spread? So, like you can see on your screen now, the hantavirus is spread from rodents. You're right. So, rodents are the first known carriers of this hantavirus, and from particles, it's now spread on from particles, infected droppings, urine, that can become airborne, and infection can occur when those particles are inhaled, and it can cause two severe illnesses that can lead to respiratory issues and lung damages. Now, and also internal bleeding and kidney failure. Wow, it's quite a fatal virus anyway. So we just hope, like I said, it's curtailed and is well managed. Now, some countries have been infected with virus, and passengers from 28 countries. And I'll just give you a rundown quickly of these countries. Now, for the Philippines, we have 38 persons for now. For the UK, we have 31. For the US, we have 23. Netherlands, 16. Spain, 14. Germany, 9. Canada, 6. France, 5. Turkey, 5. Ukraine, 5. Australia, 4. Belgium, 2. Ireland 2, Switzerland 2, New Zealand 2, India 2, Greece 1, Japan 1, um, Argentina, Denmark, St. Kitts and Nevis, Singapore, Sweden, Poland, Russia, Portugal, Montenegro, and Guatemala all one cases as of now. Okay, as at the time of this report, just one for all these countries. Um, and we just hope it is not as bad as COVID. That's all I can say. All right. All right. So, Jesse, over to you now for next news.
Okay, the headline of our next news is drones delivers its first. Sorry, sorry. The headline is Amazon delivers its first UK parcel by drones, and this news about how Amazon has launched its first UK drone delivery service in Darlington County, Durham, using the advanced MK30 drone. The service aims to deliver package under 2.2 kg in less than 2 hours. Wow.
Well, initially it was a novelty, so we were ordering everything under the sun. Anything that was available, pens, paper, chocolates, just to make it keep coming.
What have you ordered then?
Box of rubber gloves, something that always comes in handy around here. Not everything is obviously available because it's only a drone, you can't get like huge things in it, but all the little handy things that you forget are usually the small things.
The only reason we operate with the drone is because it's the fastest way to deliver. You know, in Darlington, they'll have the fastest delivery option available to any customers in Europe. Option available to any customers in Europe.
I think I'd rather somebody actually handed me my parcel than dropping it into my garden, to be honest.
Not to use a fruitcake.
Operating within 7.5 miles radius of Amazon fulfillment center. The autonomous drones use detect and avoid technology to navigate obstacles like trees and power lines. Passes are dropped from roughly 12 feet into eligible customers' garden. This limited launch marks the first expansion of Prime Air outside the US. Wow. I'd love to see how this actually goes. Okay, but before we move on to our next news, I have some questions about this news which I'd like to ask Luchi. And the first question is, what are the hurdles we might encounter seeing this get into effect?
So, for what you said the drones they drop the parcels in gardens.
Yeah.
So it means everyone needs to have a garden first of all, and not just a garden, a well secured garden. Because imagine your neighbor with the prying eyes, seeing your parcel being delivered, and you know fully well that you've gone to work and or you've traveled or you're not around. You know, might go on and try to see what's in your package, and I don't feel it's secured. You know, those are the kind of hurdles um, for security reasons, yeah, right? So there might need to be more secured mode of delivery first of all. So going back to the
So,
question, what are the hurdles, right? I said no, indeed, Amazon's drones delivery program has the potential of revolutionizing the way we shop and we get our passage delivered to us, right? It offers a number of advantages, I think, which will include cost efficiency and potential safety hand benefits, you know, but because I think maybe you might get notified if you're at home, your parcel is getting delivered and you just come and pick it up as it's dropping. And but there are also some challenges and concerns that need to be addressed. You know, there are also regulatory hurdles, right, that we need to be overcome by Amazon. You know, drone delivery for this drone delivery can be implemented. The Federal Aviation Ministry, the FAA, I know they have very strict rules, you know, very strict and rigid rules that governs the regulation of the drones and how they are used in our airspaces. So Amazons need to be well abreast of this whole, you know, news. This whole rules, what it entails, and how they can navigate it without getting, lawsuits. Because you don't, we want to go into business and make profits. That's the whole essence of this innovation. You know, to make more profits and be in forefront of this business space. So going having to face different lawsuits will hamper your profits. So I think that's one hurdle they need to know about the Federal Aviation Ministry and administration, how their laws are govern the use of these drones, so they don't infringe on any laws, and to get the approval before the whole thing begins operation in a wider scale. And if you ask me, I think there are some advantages as well. Like advantage about the speed of delivery, right? Because these drones get delivered in,
Less than 2 hours.
yes, it gets delivered in very quick succession, and especially for time-sensitive deliveries. Talking about prescriptions, right? Medication, emergency supplies can get to the end user very quickly, and also cost efficiency, like I mentioned earlier. The drones are more cheaper to operate than traditional delivery means. Talk about vehicles, trucks, and other human pilots, drivers. So it could help reduce the amount of road accident as well, and also carbon footprint. Talking about air pollution and all that. So I think that's one of the advantages, right? And also for a very good, for every advantages is also disadvantages, right?
Yeah.
So for the disadvantages, say traditional delivery methods such as truck, planes, and all that can become extinct. Yeah, because people operate all these things. So when drones start operating and delivering your goods, there will be no need for vehicles and trucks to deliver your goods. So those traditional means of delivering that we used to can go into extinction, and we won't get to see them anymore. And knowing fully well that there is there's going to be redundancy jobs. People who are employed, they won't be needed anymore to drive the trucks. So people are going to lose their jobs. So that's another disadvantage I think about it. And also, there's a possibility of potential air traffic and weather and all that. When the drones start flying in the air, and if they're not well controlled and managed, maybe you might start having traffic and air accidents. And we don't want to be working one day and passengers falling on you and stuff like that. So I think we'll get there in the end. But for now, these are the advantages and disadvantages I can think of. Okay. So over now to the sports segment, and the EPL title race has taken another twist. And after Man City dropped points against Everton, the title race um, started looking more likely in the favor of Arsenal. And these two teams, they have locked horns and keenly contested for this title for the past 3 seasons, with Arsenal coming second, back to back to back to back. And this time around, they've said no, we will die here. We would see this title, this league end before Man City wins again. Well, it's been an interesting season, and Arsenal have 3 more games to go, and Man City have 4 games. They have a game in hand. People have been calling them game in hand FC, because they always have a game in hand. I don't know how, but they always have a game in hand. So while Arsenal have 3 games to go, talking about West Ham, which they'll play on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. UK time, and Burnley the next weekend, Crystal Palace on the final day. Man City have 4 games. Brentford, they have Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, and Aston Villa. And my dear, if you ask me, Man City are in, the game where they say, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. The whole game, that is where they are now. They need to be taken out of this, because the games they have, I think they're very, very hot games. Brentford, for instance, they're no jokes. Crystal Palace have managed to always have good results against Man City. Bournemouth, I know Bournemouth for a fact. It's a team that Pep Guardiola will be having sleepless nights about now. And Aston Villa too. Aston Villa are a team that wants to make it to Europe this time around. They are contesting and trying to make the top 4 spots so that they can get a place in the Champions League for next season. So there's no jokes for them. No jokes. If you ask me, I think I see Man City dropping points more than Arsenal. Well, we'll see how that the whole season evolves. Okay, we'll keep bringing you details about that. And over the course of this week, some games we played, talking about the UCL, and Arsenal have managed again to make it to the Champions League finals, and they defeated Atletico Madrid again because they met in the group stage and Arsenal trashed them 3-0. And they met again in the semi-final stages, and Arsenal went to Spain and drew with them 1-1 on all goals were scored via penalty kicks. And they came to the Emirates in England, and Arsenal were able to emerge as winners via a long goal from their very own star boy, talking about Bukayo Saka. And that goal put them straight up in the finals. And they'll be meeting with PSG, like you all know, I'm sure you know, meeting PSG on the 30th of May, Saturday. And I'll tell you what, all road leads to Budapest, where the final game will be played. And well, I have my money on Arsenal. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. Well, because Arsenal, I'll give you a hint. The previous season before now, they've managed to they finish at quarterfinal stage. The season before this one, they go to the semi-final stage, and now they're in the finals. So I can see the progress. There's this evident progress as regards the journey so far. So I think they have stand a chance now, and they have this hunger. If you ask me, I can see the hunger in them, and they have the best defense as well as regards this whole season in the English League and Champions League. They've considered the least goals, and they'll be meeting against PSG, who scored the most goals. So if you want to call it best defense versus best attack, so the team that scored the most goals will be playing against the team that considered the least goals. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how that pans out. And Arsenal, this is another reason why I have my money on them. They've broken several records. The winner keeper has the most clean sheets this season, and they've equaled the record of Real Madrid, which Real Madrid set in the 2023-2024 season with 10 wins and 3 draws and no losses. And Arsenal have gone on to miss the record and even surpass it with 11 wins, 3 draws, and 0 losses. So now Arsenal have the record for the most win in GCL. But then again, they don't have the trophy yet. Previous seasons, you have the most win. Once you have 10 wins, you have the trophy. But with the whole new format now, Arsenal now have 11 wins and no trophy. So again, we wait until May 30th to see who emerges the winner. All right, so I think that's that for us today. And if you've had fun with us on this whole news segment, talking about the hot and trendy gist of what's happening around the UK and the world in extension, if you've enjoyed your time with us, please hit the like button,
click share, subscribe, and don't forget to stay tuned for our next episode of Hot and Trending Tips.
yes, and also the notification bell so you get all our videos as they drop. All right. So thank you once again for staying tuned. Until